Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp as we once again have a look at some of the games coming out for the Switch and the Switch 2 in this upcoming week. In terms of dates, we're going from the 25th of October up until the 31st, so see you in the month out to see if there's anything worth your time and money. So which games are coming out this week? Well, let's find out. Let's start with a game from the sponsor of today's episode, being Becastled. This releases for the Switch on the 23rd of October and is a mix of city building with tower defense strategy.
Yeah, it feels very much like the classic Settlers game, but with castles. Now, there was a game back in the day that had very similar gameplay, and I've really been enjoying it. We do have a sponsored video of this one, so we'll pop a link to that in the description as well. But it also launches with a 10% discount all the way up to October the 30th, taking it down to £20.24 with an RRP of £22.49. It's single player only, and during the day you'll be building up that castle, getting your settlement larger so that in the evenings you can defend yourself against waves of enemy attacks.
You can also use the surroundings to your advantage, so hills, rivers, forests, they're your natural defences. But it has quite an interesting feature where a river might act as a moat during the summer months, but when it freezes over in winter, suddenly it's a bridge for your enemies.
As I say, we have a full video. Go check it out if you're interested, and a big thank you to the publisher for sponsoring this episode.
So kicking off this upcoming week, we have 2 Point Museum. This is, I believe, the third game in this series now. We had 2 Point Hospital, of course, and then 2 Point Campus, wasn't it? It says, as fledgling curators, you have the task of designing and refining your very own museums to create the ultimate guest experience. You must coordinate experts on far-flung expeditions to discover new exhibits, generating buzz to entice droves of knowledge-hungry guests who will expect top infotainment. It says there are 5 main museum locations covering prehistory, aquarium, supernatural, science and space themes, 200 plus unique exhibits, and 350 plus decorative items. There's also a sandbox mode that you can dive into. I really liked Hospital. It obviously wasn't as keen on the theme of Campus, didn't really hold my attention as much, but I do like the look of Museum, very much so in fact. This one's out on the 28th and it will cost you £24.99 on the Switch 2.
This one appears to be interactive. And that concludes our tour of this part of the museum. Tell your friends, bring your family. After all, you can't...
The next game then is Simon the Sorcerer Origins. This is a prequel to the cult classic Simon the Sorcerer, and in this new adventure, Simon returns to reveal secrets and stories from his past. It says you'll find out what happened just a few weeks before the first legendary adventure back in the 90s. It includes a hand-drawn art style, and it features the original voice actor Chris Barry, a well-loved British actor, was in things like the British Empire back in the day, and most memorably, of course, Red Dwarf, where he played Rimmer the Hologram, a fantastic comedic actor. We did do a video on this a while back in anticipation of it coming to the Switch. I'll put a card to that in the top right hand corner, but this one's out on the 28th for £22.49.
The magic world's easy, right?
Then we have Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remakes. This will be available on both the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, and it's a reimagining of the first 2 games in this series, of course. 2 parts of the Erdrick trilogy, as it's called, with part 3 having already received this remake treatment, owing to the fact it's a prequel, so therefore could be played first. And it has the traditional turn-based battles that you would expect from this series, wrapped in that delightful HD 2D style that Square Enix use these days. This is one that we'll be reviewing this week. I have been making my way through it whilst reviewing other things in the week just past, but it will sell for £49.99 on the Switch 1 or £59.99 on the Switch 2, or again, of course, your regional equivalents, which is in need of a fresh start. You'll need to build relationships, you can farm, fish and forge a new life, it says, as you grow Alba into a more respectable village. I lost track of the Harvest Moon games these days, since the split in terms of the naming rights and the actual game engine, with the game engine becoming... Then my most anticipated game of the week, we have Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. This brings together a host of the original Mortal Kombat games, the 2D games. I think Mortal Kombat 4 is on here as well. And it also has certainly Mortal Kombat Mythologies, the Sub-Zero game, which I know is kind of universally accepted as being terrible, but it's nice to have on the collection. And I believe it also has interviews on here from the original devs, Ed Boon, John Tobias, as well as the others in the team that obviously made these games possible. You have online play as well added in, detailed character histories and timelines. This to me sounds exactly how these sort of collections should be done. I'm hoping it lives up to expectations because I love this sort of thing. I love when you get those behind the scenes looks and a real appreciation and celebration of the history of a franchise. £41.99 for this one on the Switch 1 or the Switch 2, but there is 10% available off of that price up until just before launch day, and it releases on the 30th. Also this week we have Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home Special Edition, and it says here that you are invited to leave behind the hustle and bustle of city life for the charm and simplicity of Alba Village. Alba Village has seen better days though, with a dwindling population and an aging community, and the village is in need of a fresh start. You'll need to build relationships, you can farm, fish and forge a new life, it says, as you grow Alba into a more respectable village. I've kind of lost track of the Harvest Moon games these days, since the split in terms of the naming rights and the actual game engine, with the game engine becoming Story of Seasons of course. I'm not really sure where we are with Harvest Moon these days in terms of quality. I must say this one does look better than some of the previous games I've seen in the series. It looks as if it released on Android and iOS last year actually, but it will cost you £35.99 if you do want to pick it up. We then have Seventh Domain Tree of Chaos, which calls itself a cross between a roguelike and a Metroidvania. It says thrilling combat will meet endless loot hunting with over 20 hours of non-repetitive main story, 70 maps and 168 events as you explore a vast interconnected world from shadowy caves to crumbling castles and blazing volcanoes. It says it has a classic loot system with randomized drops, limitless combinations and rare weapons that can even alter your skills, and 152 talents and 34 skills which you can mix and match freely to craft a playstyle that suits you. As much as I like roguelites, I never really appreciate them in games where I feel I should be making progress, and Metroidvania being one of those, so I'm always skeptical until I've played it and seen exactly how it works, but I do like the art style, I must say. It looks very classy. It's out on the 30th and it will cost £22.49. We also have Majogami. This sees you playing as Shiroa, a young woman who has lost her memory, who travels alongside her father who has been turned to paper. With her katana in hand, she travels through a bizarre world and cuts through the horror she finds there in this 2D character action platformer, says the blurb. It says along the journey, Shiroa will collect cards imbued with her memories and will face off against the diverse Majogami, divine craft witches who control the world. It says it combines papercraft and dark visuals, in the world characters and game design, and I love it when games do this. You know, the Yoshi and Kirby games in recent years have done a lot of this, using a unique aesthetic in a genre that's otherwise quite well worn in terms of how many times we've seen it through the years. The mix of magic and origami that obviously gives the game its name looks to be a bit of a winner for me. We'll see how it holds up of course, but there is a demo available if you want to give it a try first. It's out on the 30th on both the Switch 1 and Switch 2, and there is 10% available up until the 12th of November actually, so it gives you a bit of time to think about if you want to make the purchase.
Her weapon is her katana, Kamikiri. Setsuna allows her to slice with godlike speed and move with complete freedom.
Okay, next we have Detective Dotson. This tells the story of an actor turned detective whose first case is related to the death of his father. It's set in a modern day city in India, it says here, where 2D and 3D art styles blend seamlessly. You can trade, bargain and uncover hidden clues from a cast of over 50 characters, and you'll need to fit the clues you collect onto your evidence board. By placing items on here, you'll get closer to the truth. It also mentions mini-games that you can jump into scattered about the city, including street, cricket and Bollywood dance-offs, and winning games here means better bargaining power and sometimes vital clues. £12.99 for this one or your regional equivalent. This one again is out on the 30th.
There are over 50 unique characters to talk to. They can give me clues if I'm clever about it. I must fit the clues in an evidence board and connect all.
The penultimate game for the week is Tales of Xillia Remastered, which first released back in 2011 in Japan for the PlayStation 3, releasing in other regions a couple of years later, but has since been ported to various other consoles, including, I believe, the Nintendo Switch. This remastered version includes new quality of life upgrades, including improved graphics, an autosave feature, the ability to toggle encounters, early shop access and more, and also includes DLC that was launched after the original release. It mentions its dual-raid linear motion battle system, where you must master strategy and coordination to overcome action-packed battles in real-time combat as you follow the paths of your two heroes, Miller and Jude. Not a game I've ever played. I think I might own it actually on the Switch, but never got around to playing it. But this one's out on the 31st this time and will sell for £34.99 or your regional equivalent. And the final game for the week, you'll have to excuse the pronunciation here. I believe it's Toziuha Knight, Order of the Alchemists. This is a 2D side-scrolling action platformer with features of a Metroidvania, and it says you'll travel through different non-linear maps set in a dark fantasy world. You play as Xandria, a beautiful and skilled alchemist who, using an iron whip, fights against the most fearsome demons and other alchemists seeking to obtain a millenary power. I love the aesthetic. Again, it's gone for that pixel art style. Quite detailed pixel art, but leaving certain features obscure, like faces. There's no real facial features. I love it when games do that. Nice colour palette too, judging by what I've seen of it. Could be an interesting one to keep an eye on. £17.99 for that one, and again it releases on the 31st. So there you have it, another week of Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 releases. We are definitely seeing the Switch 2 games ramp up now. There was a time a few months ago when these videos were still predominantly filled with Switch 1 games despite the Switch 2 being out. That's not the case anymore, which is nice. If you aren't aware, we do have a second channel these days, SwitchUp Extra, which focuses more on gameplay and initial impressions with us having a chat while playing a game. Our most recent video sees us playing Plants vs Zombies Replanted and just having a chat as we're doing so about all sorts of things. If you would like to give that a watch, I'll put a card to that in the top right hand corner. Don't forget, if you're looking for eShop credit, you can use our website switchup.gg and get yourself 5% of your purchase price back as cashback. And there's links down there to places such as PlayAsia. If you want to import any games, just use our link and code and you get yourself 5% off of your order. Thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.